ora everybody. My name is Maya Whitaker. I uh, am coming to you tonight from Christchurch, Chile, Christchurch. So I work for Laidlaw College. I'm the academic dean there. I'm a lecturer in theology, and I'm also involved in Laidlaw's Centre for Church Leadership. Just to give you a little bit of understanding about who the Centre for Church Leadership is, we've been around, kind of, for puddling away for a wee while. Serving the church has always been on the heart of Laidlaw College. We are formerly the Bible College of New Zealand, and before that, the Bible Training Institute. Laidlaw's been around for over 100 years, under a few different names. And for the last couple of years, we have received some donor funding, which has enabled us to stand up the Centre for Church Leadership in a really focused way. And so the Centre for Church Leadership sits within Laidlaw College and associated with the School of Theology, but it's less about training students. It's more about helping people who are already in ministry and people who are considering ministry. So one of the big things that we talk about at the centre is that healthy leaders cultivate healthy churches. And our heart really is to bless, love, and serve the church, particularly by serving her leaders. I'm sure many of you have been involved in church leadership in different ways and in different capacities, or observe what it is. And it's a beautiful thing to serve the Lord in church leadership, but it's also quite a difficult thing. And we're really wanting to, support different leaders and support their well-being. And we do that across a really broad range of churches. The staff who work within the centre are very interdenominational, and the different kinds of uh, church leaders that we serve are from, all the different denominations, which I think is just such a beautiful thing, isn't it? The unity that you see in that space. And so what the Centre for Church Leadership does, it's got a few areas that it's really focused in, and one particularly is coaching. So coaching it's a little bit like supervision, but it's really having someone who is walking alongside you in the journey, who you can unpack some of your struggles, help, and this coach will help you to discern what the Spirit is doing, what the Spirit's calling you to. And the reports that we get from people, I've personally been a recipient of coaching. It makes such a difference in the experience of leading a church. So we've been spending a lot of time training up people and coaches. As coaches, we have some incredible coach trainers, senior coaches who do really, really good development of coaches. And we've now got coaching more than 80 pastors across New Zealand and have got capacity to grow that. It's a big part of what we do is that coaching. Again, really founded in that belief that it's the health of the leader, which is really crucial to the health of the church. Something that you may be aware of or may not be aware of is that in the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, a lot of people have stepped out of ministry. Some people have burned out in ministry. Some people have fallen out of ministry. But there has been a lot of people, just getting to the end of their season in ministry, and less people coming to fill ministry roles. And so there are a lot of churches that are struggling actually to find people who want to be pastors. And so we're wanting to support people who are in the ministry, but we're also wanting to support the development of leaders. So working with churches and networks about uh, helping them develop their pipelines. And so, people who they may just be still quite young in churches, and talking with pastors about how can you encourage those young people who do have a call to ministry. What does it look like to train them? What does it look like to support them? What does it look like for someone who maybe, have had a career in something else and then they're feeling a call to ministry? How can those people be supported? So that's another big thing that the centre focuses on is those leadership pipelines. Some denominations are really intentional about that. Others are a little bit more haphazard, and so need some help. Another big focus that the centre has is around creating resources for church health and discipleship. And so that comes out in a few different ways. We have little short things that we'll release. For example, over Matariki had some resources that we could share for churches about what is Matariki, how do we celebrate that, how do we intersect our Māori with the faith world, how does it hold together? We have some bigger resources, really great resource about transitions and navigating transitions that came out, so courses that people can do. Another kind of resource we do is we hold church leaders days. It's one of our particular prayer points for you, which I'll tell you a little bit more about the upcoming one. So that's really about church health and discipleship and providing resources that are contextualized to Aotearoa is quite important because there are a lot of resources out there, but they often come from the UK or North America, and many of them are wonderful, but they don't always connect in the way that something that is born and nurtured in this land would. So we talked about four big things: ministry coaching, pastoral leadership pipelines, creating resources, and then the fourth one is just working across the church ecosystem to foster peer support among organisation and churches. So that's something that Laidlaw has always done a lot of, where because we're interdenominational, we kind of sit in the middle. And so we can work in lots of different, and people connect with us, and people have got history with BCNZ, and it's a real joy to be able to connect with different church networks, different organisations, and yeah, that's often quite effective, but that's very much behind the scenes kind of things, working with pastors networks in different regions and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, like I said, we're all about blessing, loving, and serving the Church of Aotearoa by coming alongside leaders with the tools they need, the support and guidance, hoping to see them flourish in order that churches would be healthy and more able to then fulfill the Great Commission. We're not trying to, certainly not trying to replace the work of the churches, but support churches to do those work. So we've got four big prayer points for you today, and I'll just talk through them before we go out. So the first one I would love you to pray for is our Leaders' Days event. So some of the photos I've got on this slide are from the middle one's from a Leaders' Day we had in 2023. The other two are from Abide conference that we held in 2024 in Holy Trinity Cathedral in Auckland. And so those are gathering spaces. We have leaders from lots of different churches and organisations, and we are having Leaders' Days in four locations: Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and Dunedin at the end of August and beginning of September. And our theme this year is stewarding renewal. And that's something the Lord's really placed on our heart. Many of you have probably heard about the Quiet Revival report that came out from the Bible Society. If you haven't, would encourage you to go and Google that. Just search Quiet Revival. You'll come in the right direction. And that talks about what they're seeing in the UK, and there's similar reports to Barna Group in the US. But the more people that we talk to in New Zealand, the more I'm hearing stories of people saying people are just turning up at our church hungry. People are they say, people come to church, say, I had a dream about Jesus last night, or just there's a rising spiritual hunger and a rising spiritual tide that we are seeing starting to happen across New Zealand. And the question that we want to ask and sit with our leaders around is not how do we create this? How do we manufacture a revival or force people into something? But how do we steward it? We've quite intentionally chosen that. What does it look like for the church to do that? I spoke just last week with a couple who are doing some incredible work in Golden Bay, and what this man Mark Johnson said, he said people are longing to come home, and he's talking about unsaved people. They're longing to come home, and we need to make sure we are preparing the church as that home for them. So that's really the focus of those days. So if you could pray for those events, for the preparation going into them, that people would get in the room. It's always, come on, sign up, get yourself there. And I think we really just need a covering of protection around them, because we are talking about stuff that leads to salvations, and we know that the enemy is going to work against that. So Really appreciate your prayers on that one. Second prayer point I've got is for people who are considering a pastoral vocation. Um, for a while there were less and less people wanting to go into ministry. I think that is recovering, but we don't have enough pastors to go around at the moment. And so again, we're working to try and help develop those pipelines. But if you could pray particularly for those people who have a sense of the call to ministry, that that call that first kind of starts in secret on the inside, and then it's affirmed in community. Um, Again, that's something that the enemy would love to shut down. So if you could pray for that, for individuals and for systems and people who are involved in that different places. Um, Last one, quite broad, really. We'd love you just to pray for pastors and Christian leaders, pray for protection for them, for their families, for their ministry, for their personal relationship with Christ, for their churches. We need to be praying. We need to be praying for our pastors. And then finally, we would love you to pray for our centre. We've just appointed a new director. Matt Lilly is his name, and he is he's been the pastor of Coast Vineyard Church, planted that church with his wife Jacinda um, a number of years ago. And he's just handing that church on now, and he's moved into this new role for us. And so he's just started part-time and he'll be full-time in a couple of weeks. Would love your prayers for him. It's a really significant ministry role, quite a challenging one. So love your prayers for that, for our senior coaches who are training coaches, for all of our coaches as well who are working. We're in a bit of transition at the moment with a new director and exploring different options, and would really appreciate your ongoing prayer support. So those are my 4 points for the centre as a whole, for pastors and leaders generally, particularly for those considering pastoral vocations, and for those Leaders' Days events that are focusing on stewarding renewal. So they're happening last week of August and first week of September is when those are coming through.